We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It's Wednesday as you're listening to this, but we're recording it Tuesday night and have our friend from Texas, Jace, with us. Talk a little bit about what's going on down in Texas, some interesting things there, and of course, the rest of the country and the rest of the shit show that's going on. Um, we always talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about, and then we realize after about 10 minutes that there's so much fucking shit we don't need to talk about it here. We're doing a whole nother show, so we'll just start it off and get moving down the line, and that's pretty much the case here today.
Well, I mean, honestly, Texas has been pretty tame compared to what's going on in the fucking country. It's like
Yeah.
say that, how Texas goes, the states go, but shit, I guess it's Tuesday night, there's some elections tonight, I guess in Illinois. I guess I read that the governor of the Illinois, he won his primary. So I mean, I just kind of read it. Like I said, it's kind of early in the evening, but seems like it's good news. I mean, it's always good news for Democrats. The Republicans are in a mess right now because they're trying to get the Democrats to filibuster a law to keep probably disenfranchise most of their voters because mostly Democrats have passports. I know I do.
Yeah,
So
I do too.
do that. I'll have mine in November ready to go.
Well, in Illinois, there's a bunch of primaries in Illinois. I didn't know about the governor. You're talking about Pritzker there. So I mean, I'm surprised he even has a primary as the sitting governor, but
Well,
um,
Abbott had one down here a couple weeks ago and they won. So I guess it's just, I guess it's just kind of politics as usual. But yeah, I was on Threads and they said that he won. So I mean, I don't know if it was contested or not, but I just saw that he won, which good for Illinois. I'll trade you.
yeah, no shit. But then there was a Senate primary, a Democratic Senate primary. Don't know much about it, but I think JD Farmer was sending me some texts, and the woman that looks like she's going to win it is Juliana Stratton, and apparently she's the nominee of choice, the progressive or whatever. So that's good news. And then there was the one for the representative, and it was some guy named Biss, who was a Democratic kind of a old school type politician, and he was running against a young woman by the name of Kat Abagazala. She's 26 years old. She's all over TikTok. She knows all about social media, and she's incredibly sharp. I was really hoping she would win that primary, but last check, I think she was down by, I don't know, 15 points, 12 points, something like that. It didn't look like she was going to win with 89% of the votes. And um, part of that is because we had all the establishment Democrats siding with Biss because God forbid, we have a progressive in there. The fucking Democrats are so nervous about somebody that's a little different than they are that wants to give back to the middle class. That's why we say we can get rid of the Republicans, but we still have to kind of clear out the Democrats because there's a lot of them out there that aren't our friends.
You said her name is Kimberly Stratton?
Well,
Juliana.
The
Juliana.
Senate, Juliana Stratton. I don't know much about her. I do know some about Kat Kat Abagazala. She's of Palestinian descent. She didn't look it. She's partially Palestinian, and she's really a sharp girl. She's going to do some things, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of confusion going on. What's going on in the Senate right now with the SAVE Act? I'm seeing a lot of creators on the left saying, "Oh my God, it's going to pass." And there was a vote 51 to 48, but that was pretty much along party lines. That's just to debate it. It hasn't
Yeah,
passed. Calm down. So a lot of the left, they get, they get, I guess, to get more clicks and stuff like that, and it's rage baiting is what it is. So
pretty
just
much.
it's not going to pass because you need Democrats to support it. And I guarantee you, even Fetterman has said he's not for it. So that's how toxic that is for Democrats. So just settle down, let them debate it, let them drag it out. The more they drag it out, the less other shit by Trump gets passed. Keep dragging it out, and we'll get to November, and we'll get the Senate, and they won't be able to put any new Supreme Court justices in. So we can postpone it till a Democrat president again, like McConnell did. So let him
Right.
do it.
Well, exactly. I mean, they've done it, so there's no reason we shouldn't do it. And you're right. There are people out there saying, "Well, they're voting on it now. They're debating it now." Here's the deal: anybody who's worried about this thing passing, you have to understand that there is a filibuster, and that filibuster requires 60 votes, and there are 53 Republicans. So you need at least 7 Democrats to vote for it. And you're not going to get 7 Democrats to vote for it. It is dead in the water. So people will say, well, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that?
Part of the
To
plan.
shut Donald Trump up is why. To shut that dumb motherfucker up. He thinks there's still a chance. He's like he's like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me I have a chance? And yeah, Donald Trump's just done. It's like when they were talking about getting rid of the filibuster, um, and then Cornyn comes out and says, "I might vote for that," solely trying to get an endorsement, which was just ridiculous. But there are no Republicans that are really going to be on board with getting rid of the filibuster because they know that they're going to be out of power in about 10 months. And then Democrats are going to shove it down their fucking throat. So that would be stupid to do. Uh, People were worried about the SAVE Act. Don't worry about it. They're going to mess around with it just to keep Donald Trump happy, and nothing's going to come out of it.
Well, I thank the Republicans for keeping this on the Senate floor and keep it going because it's got Donald Trump preoccupied. And as you mentioned, Cornyn getting the endorsement as much as he wanted that motherfucker. Ken
Yeah.
Paxton, Ken Paxton is going to stay in no matter what. And I honestly think Cornyn is so beat down that if Trump asked him to step aside, I think Cornyn would. I think
You might.
Cornyn, I think he looks really weak. He looks really frail. And he got called out by a fellow rep yesterday. I think I sent you the video on it.
Yeah.
So what was John Cornyn doing? Doing what Republicans do, grandstand, handing out Whataburger. Don't get me wrong, fucking Whataburger's great.
Yeah.
There's people, in TSA not getting paid. So what do the Republicans do? They put a Band-Aid on a fucking bullet wound. Like, oh, I'll give you Whataburger, feed you for lunch or whatever, but what about your kids at home or whatever? They don't do that, and the this other representative called him out and say, "Hey, why don't you know?" And of course, Cornyn was going after him, and I forget his name, and he was saying, well, get your Democrat buddies to vote on this. It's like, well, we got a bill on there that funds everything until you guys make those changes with ICE. So I mean, it's like the Republicans are just they know, and especially Cornyn, they know that you got to compromise. But since Donald Trump came around and the MAGA came around, they don't compromise anymore. Because
No,
that's what
there's
you
no compromise.
used to hear John Cornyn say, well, I, reached across the aisle back when it was to do it, and I'm against the filibuster, getting rid of the filibuster. Well, lo and fucking behold, guess who's for the filibuster now? When it's typical MAGA. Don't care until it affects you. Cornyn
Right.
has been safe all these years because he appealed to moderate and independents. But what he's scared about now is that Tallarico has chewed into that support.
Right.
Oh, and I know there's stuff against Tallarico or whatever, but more polls have come out, and he's beating Paxton, and he's beating Cornyn. And
Yeah.
there was one poll, I think I mentioned it last week, that even if Trump gave Cornyn his endorsement,
Endorsement.
uh, Tellerico would still win. And it's gotta really piss off because Paxton's not gonna go anywhere because Paxton's like that, that code sore that you put campho-phenique on it and it won't go away.
Right.
It has a way of popping up when you don't want it to. And I was telling you earlier that the Republicans now, at least for the next 2 months, have a problem called Ken Paxton. The rest of us in this state, including women expecting children, and the trans community and the gay community, have been put up with, and that's called Ken Paxton.
And Ken Paxton has a certain amount of popularity in Texas where he could theoretically beat Cornyn because Cornyn, he's spoken out against Donald Trump. He, like you say, he's more moderate, and that may work against him with the Republican Party. Um,
He
and
was.
Tallarico's just a unique guy. He's unique for a Democrat. He's certainly unique to a Republican. He's religious, but not crazy religious. He's got some reasonable ideas. There are people in Texas that are no doubt struggling because of what's going on with Donald Trump and the economy. He's talking about ways to fix that. And that's how you win elections. You get people to like you, get people to trust you, and give them some answers to problems they're fucking dealing with.
And I know there's a part of the Democratic Party that, they're upset on the left that, Jasmine Crockett didn't get nominated. And I get that. But, when you're going to say, well, I'm not going to vote, I can't vote for him or whatever, he's another Fetterman. You haven't even given the guy a chance. What I see is I see a gentleman out there talking to people, telling us what he's going to do, just like Kamala Harris did. But
Right,
no, I can't vote for her because there's no primary. Well, how'd that fucking
right,
work out for you? So, I mean, Tallarico's our best shot at turning it. Probably Texas is probably going to turn blue. It's going to turn purple probably. And
right.
I saw Jasmine, there. She has no ill will against Tallarico.
No,
She doesn't got a spur in her bonnet like fucking Colin Allred, who's also in trouble. And I think he's running for a runoff.
I hope
And
he loses.
I do
I don't
too.
like him.
Well, they say a lot of Crockett voters are going against him because he did this, because he started a problem that didn't need to be. I think he was upset with Tallarico for running, but Tallarico said he was going to do it. But there's also people saying, yeah, Jasmine Crockett's going to be out of power and not have anything to not in the House. But there's another senator up for re-election. I think is it next year or maybe 2 years in 2028? And
Right.
that's Ted Cruz,
Yeah.
who today went on the Senate about the SAVE Act saying that Democrats want 12 million illegal aliens in this country because they vote for Democrats. It is the funniest fucking thing with Republicans. They twist everything when it suits them.
Right.
In 2024, Latinos went for Trump. A lot of young people went for Trump, and especially in the Rio Grande Valley, which is down by Mexico, Brownsville area, McAllen. But what's happening now is that a lot of this shit, it's probably got to be people seeing their family members and friends get arrested by ICE. It's changed. It's been wiped out. And there was like, I think I saw the records today, and there was like there was like an ungodly number of people that voted in the Democratic primaries that didn't vote. The Republican primary was down from 2024, but the
Right.
Democrat was almost up like 6 or 7 points, I believe, to like 13% from 6 or 7.
Right.
So there's something going on down here. And Jasmine got behind Tallarico. He's our best shot of getting this. If it was Crockett, I would be saying she's our best shot at doing it. And I'm sorry, but if you are just, going to stand on the sides and watch it happen and not vote, why do you call yourself a Democrat or even an independent? Because you're obviously
Yeah.
mad because you want that side to win. And if you're that butthurt about your guy not winning, there's a thing called life. We always don't get our way. But I tell you what, Tallarico's a hell of a lot better than Paxton or Cornyn. But
Oh, no question.
people are judging him or whatever. I am not the first to really support people that are, religious. I had no problem voting for Joe Biden. He's a Christian, and people tell me to my face that Trump's a Christian. And I look at them and I go, "You know me, right?" And they go, "Yeah." Trump is about as Christian as I am, and that ain't much.
Yeah. Yeah. Trump is not a Christian. He's the antithesis of that. And, people who are upset about Jasmine Crockett, personally, I preferred Jasmine Crockett because of her style. I was disappointed that she didn't win, but I understand something that people need to learn. When you're going to make a change, like the drastic change we're talking about in this country, you can't do it all at once. You can't get the immediate gratification and fix everything all at once. It's going to take some time. It's going to take step by step. As long as you're making that first step down the right path, you have hopes of getting to where you want to be. But if you go the wrong path, you'll never get to where you want to be. So you got to be a little fucking patient. You got to be a fucking adult about it. And you got to make the choice that's best. Like I say, I like Jasmine, but Tallarico's solid too. I'm going to vote for Tallarico because there's no question we're all better off if Tallarico's in as opposed to Cornyn or Paxton. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. And don't tell me it's a lesser of two evils.
Well,
You
also,
know, Tallarico, they're going to try to find stuff on him. And I got to be honest, I don't think they're going to find anything on him. The only thing they found on him that he was being followed by some scantily clad women. I guarantee you, I don't even know who they are. If you go through mine, I'm sure I got plenty of scantily clad women because you get those weird things. You don't have any control over that, especially if you have a lot of followers.
yeah, and the thing about it is there's supposedly a video, an AI video of him doing something. So when they can't find something, make it up. There was something that came out about his old video, something about him saying Jesus was non-binary. I fucking don't even know what binary means. All I was told my whole life was that he was God, so he wasn't male or female. So doesn't that kind of say the thing right there? He wasn't male or female. But they're
Yeah.
they're grasping at shit. It's like Cornyn. He's going after Paxton for being a crook and adulterer. Well, hello, the guy you're trying to get the endorsement for wrote the fucking book on it.
Yeah,
And
no shit.
if there's anybody worse than Trump, it's probably Paxton. I mean, it's like Paxton, and that's I told you that before. Is like I just maybe he couldn't get through the Senate, but I was surprised he didn't pick Paxton as Attorney General because that guy is like MAGA up and down, and MAGA loves him. But we also have hope, and also in one I'm going to vote for is Tony Gonzalez's old seat. The Brandon Herrera, the guy that Republican that ended up, running, and I think it was her last name is Stout. She's a Democrat, and I think he's only up by a point or two, so it's virtually
Oh,
tied.
okay.
So they have a real shot at doing this as well because there was something he was invited to something to talk about his platform, and he's bowed out because they wanted to talk about, well, why are you doing this Nazi slogan and all this stuff? You're affiliated with all these groups, and he jumped off. So
Yeah.
he is something that Gonzalez may have given the Democrats enough to run against. The guy just talking does that. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a thing to where the Democrats win that because I sent you that chart that even the all the Democrats got more votes than like the Democratic nominees that were running against Abbott got more votes.
Yeah.
Uh, Hossa ended up winning the primary, and she's running it. And now there's a poll that came out; they're tied, 48 to 48. That's not good for a sitting governor.
No, hell no. And the thing is, you've got something you've got to consider that we haven't had to deal with before. We didn't have to deal with it in 2024. We've got Republicans in power in the House, the Senate, and in the presidency, and things are going very badly. The
Yes.
GDP grew by 0.07% when it's normally 2 or 3%. Prices in the grocery store going way up. Oil prices are going crazy. That may get worse. If we're up over $4 an hour come election time, that's not going to benefit the Republicans. They're the ones that are going to take the fall for it. With the condition of this country, the constant scandals that come out, the prospect of more Epstein files coming out, all that works against not only Donald Trump, but the Republicans in general. That's why we're seeing right now special elections that are going blue that we wouldn't expect to go blue.
Yeah.
And as long as we continue in this situation with the bullshit we've got going on, we're going to see a lot of surprising wins by blue candidates come November. It's just inevitable. When things are going badly, people can't afford their shit. They're struggling. They're going to want to look to a different answer. And the only other answer is a Democrat.
And I think, everybody's talking about gas prices, but should really scare people is that diesel is up around
Yeah,
$5. And diesel, what is that? That's trucks. That's what hauls food and throughout the country. So that goes up. Guess what? Your vegetables go up, and your
right.
Captain Crunch goes up because it costs more to produce that. Another thing the Republicans are doing down here, and I'm glad they went ahead and did this, is that they're going after marijuana. They're going after cannabis in an election year. And I
Trying to
know
get rid of it.
they're trying to get rid of anything smokable by the end of, I think is it March 31st or May 31st? So you're going
Wow.
to have all these businesses close. So they're doing this, and Abbott before was kind of like he vetoed, or he either vetoed it or let it slide, that he didn't sign that bill that the House and Senate passed to ban it. Well, there's a law going on now, I guess, after that. Wasn't there a ruling somewhere before about that, about that caused this to happen? I guess with but they're going after it again, and that's, the Republicans always tell us they're the job creators, but there's a lot of businesses down here. You see them everywhere. I mean, I'm not an expert on pot. I know nothing about it. I have a beer every once in a while, but I know a lot of Republicans that smoke that shit. And the way
Oh yeah.
the shit they believe, I can believe they smoke that shit. But they're not going to be happy with that. And Abbott's the one doing it. So and that's what I've never gotten about people like that. It's like, the progressives are the ones that, relax and take your tie off, enjoy life. Don't be so goddamn restrictive.
Yeah.
It's like, they and people, and Tallarico said this. He was on South by Southwest, was a festival they have here in Austin, technology and politics and stuff. And I think I sent you that video. He was getting interviewed by Jessica, that's on the Five. She's on there with his name's Scott. I forget his last name, but he's on Pivot. And Tallarico was saying, well, you've had one party in charge for 30 years. And I like this part too, because it goes back to what you say when the Democrats win. You got to hold them accountable too, because one party in charge too much breeds corruption. And that's what we have here in Texas.
Absolutely.
So when the Democrats get power, we got to hold them in check too, because we don't want to get back to where we are before that we let another Trump in.
No. And we don't want to let the Democrats that aren't working in our favor continue any longer than we have to. I
Yeah.
mean, if we get a establishment Democrat in over a Republican, that's a win. But now we got to work on that establishment Democrat, either get them to change their policies or get them the fuck out. That's why when this is all done with the Republican and Donald Trump, I'm going to be picking out Democrats to talk about and saying, listen, we got to do something with this. If they're in the House of Representatives, they're up for reelection every 2 years. It's not hard to clear them out if you have a feeling that you want to do that. Um, one of the things that's going to play a huge role in the election, uh, especially if it continues to go on and on and on, is the war in Iran. And this, some people are calling this the last nail in the coffin for Donald Trump. This may be the fuck up that does it all, even over and above Epstein and all that stuff. Um, Donald Trump said he wouldn't start a war, said he wouldn't start a war with Iran. He does that. He went against people advising him not to do it. Now he's found himself in a corner. He really has no way out of it. Gas prices are going up. People are getting pissed. And you can see it in him when he's talking and when he's doing things. This fucker is at that point where he's flailing. And this is usually the end game for somebody with a narcissistic personality. They get to the point where it's unmanageable. They can't control it. They can't divert. They can't distract. And then they just freak out and do everything. And I feel like we're starting to see that with Donald Trump now.
Well, he's obviously to the point. I remember in his first term that he had kind of, adults in the room listening to him,
Yeah.
or he'd listen to. But evidently, he doesn't have it now because Joe Kent resigned today. He
That was a
saw,
big deal.
yeah, he saw the shit coming, and Joe Kent is MAGA. And Joe
Hardcore.
Kent has skin in the game because his wife was killed. I guess like she was something. He was in the service and his wife was killed. Was it in a bombing or something?
Yeah, she was killed in a bombing by ISIS.
Yeah,
Now, don't get me wrong. This guy, I'm not saying this
he's
was a good guy, and it's too bad we lost him. This guy is a fucking crazy MAGA piece of shit, and he's a conspiracy theorist, and he's inept in his own right. I mean, he does have military experience. He does have some experience, but his mindset is so weird. He works under what's her name?
uh,
Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard.
yeah,
And when he announced that he was quitting, that created kind of a shitstorm because that really looks bad for the Republicans when somebody at that level with that experience says there was no threat from Iran. Totally contradictory to what Donald Trump says. That caused a stir in the White House, I'm sure.
oh, Moscow Mitch was pretty pissed off at it too. He pretty much accused him of anti-Semitism, and I guess he was when he was I guess going through his confirmation process. It's different than what he's saying now that Iran did pose a threat. So
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell's all pissed off now because he's saying, of course, that you're saying that you're anti-Israel, you're anti-Semitic. Of course, bring the race into it. But he said in the meetings that this is intimate, so this has to be pissing them off. And I wouldn't be surprised as they try to bring up charges on this guy. But they're
Oh
also
yeah.
at Tulsi Gabbard because they need a scapegoat, one thing. But she supposedly, and I kind of believe Tulsi Gabbard because they say that he's been kind of in the office for a while, that he wasn't in intelligent briefs or whatever, and they told him their concerns. But she's saying they never told her to fire him. But they're saying, well, they did. And I believe Tulsi Gabbard because it's such a shit show that they probably didn't tell her to fire him because they can't shit or wind their watch in there. They got to have Trump's approval with everything. It's
Right.
like it's like Kristi Noem got fired, and we both goddamn know he approved that money to go. Trump didn't give a shit about that until
No.
somebody said it was on him. So you're seeing a lot of this MAGA, this MAGA core, and MAGA's. You're having the Megyn Kellys and Tucker Carlsons with Kent, and supposedly he's going to be on Tucker Carlson tomorrow. So that ought to be an interesting fucking interview. You
Yeah.
know, but they're really going after Tucker Carlson and all this stuff now because it's splitting. I mean, I don't trust these fuckers, but it's nice to let them kind of tear each other apart instead of us.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, Tucker Carlson was Donald Trump's best buddy, was at Fox News. He leaves, he gets his own thing. He gets popular again to a certain extent. He's in the news. Then he starts talking shit about Donald Trump. And I think with this guy that quit and Tucker Carlson, they realize they're smart enough to realize the end is coming. And you can either go down with the motherfuckers or try to stay clear from the wreckage if possible. And um, this guy that just quit. You're
Yeah.
right. When he was in his confirmation hearing, he'd say anything to get the job. But now that he has the job, and if they were doing this little bullshit here and there, that's one thing. But he understands the potential ramifications from being tied to this illegal war
Mhm.
and seeing that it's going very badly. It's not going to play out well for him or anybody else that's in the mix. And I think him resigning is probably just
The beginning.
trying to get an attempt at survival. And Tucker Carlson, who's friends with this guy, has said that he believes the neocons, if you want to call them that, will be going after him. And I'll guarantee you they will go after him. If they're going after Tucker Carlson and some other people because they said something about him, they're going to go after this guy.
What's gonna be interesting to see is you're gonna have MAGA that they're not gonna know who to believe because you got 2 points of the spectrum telling them two different things. You got the Megyn
Yeah.
Kelly, who's very, she's on Sirius XM. She obviously has an audience. Tucker Carlson obviously has an audience. He was the highest rated guy on Fox, or
Right.
maybe next to Hannity. But you always you have that you have that Republican that it's so I look at Mike Johnson and Sean Hannity's the same thing. Trump can do no wrong.
Right.
But you have people that aren't Megyn Kelly's not stupid. Tucker Carlson's not stupid. They're inflammatory. I don't agree with what they say. I've never really liked Tucker Carlson because I don't trust anybody that wears a fucking bow tie, especially this day and
Yeah,
age.
yeah,
What
and
was that?
he's got this whiny little condescending tone to his voice. I've never been a big fan of his. He is popular. He is saying some things that I agree with, but that doesn't make him my friend or that I trust
Yeah.
him. But this is exactly what we want to see. We want to see MAGA fighting amongst themselves. That's what tears this thing down ultimately, and that's what's happening. You got Megyn Kelly, you got Tucker Carlson talking one way, you've got other Republicans talking another way, and now they can't even worry about beating the Democrats because they can't beat themselves.
Yeah, because you got the Marjorie Taylor Greens, you got the Megyn Kellys, the people, and I will give Marjorie Taylor Greene that she's smarter than Lauren Boebert because you had that thing during the Epstein files that she was like summons to his office.
Yeah.
She stood up and she voted for what was right there. But she's back on there now. She tweeted something about, well, if John Fetterman votes against the SAVE Act, then that means he's not a reasonable Democrat. And there's people like Lauren Boebert. That's who the Republicans think their voters are. And honestly,
Yeah.
knowing a lot of them, that's how stupid they are. I got told today that this gas thing is only temporary. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Why are we over there? Well, they're bad people. I go, there's a lot of bad people over here.
What about
But
America first?
yeah, but that's the thing about it. When Barack Obama, because I used to hear about it all the time, and Joe Biden, hell, even George Bush, they even turned it back on George Bush about that stuff because they were saying
Yeah.
it was about oil. And they were right. This is exactly about oil. Trump's done the thing not to help us out, but he's lifted the sanctions on Russia. Now he's talking about doing it for Venezuela. I mean, it's like we go into Venezuela. Was that a run up to it? And I told them, and I'm going, yeah, but you're fighting an enemy that we know we can't win. The Russians learned it, and unfortunately, we didn't learn it. The Russians learned it in
No.
Afghanistan. We didn't learn it. But like when there was what was it when Obama did the escalation, what was called? And he did that. I mean, that a lot of Republicans got pissed off at that because he was actually fighting.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're in a fucking war that I didn't start. And it's like now you're going to have another Democrat going to have to clean this fucking mess up because this mess ain't going away. Because Iran, like they've been prepared for this for a while, as people have said. And they've killed a lot of the heads of it, but they're so stupid Trump that he said he wants to do this, and then he comes out there. He's like a child. We have a toddler as a president. You're not going to
Literally.
help. Well, need your help anyway. I mean, that's exactly what it looks like. But there's people, the Lowen Boberts of this country, that look at him when you see those memes that he posts about him being Superman and shit. They believe that shit. There
Yeah.
is nothing that guy. They were against pedophilia. They were against wars. Where did that fucking go? If they
Yeah.
had the shit on Obama or Biden, George Bush, Bill Clinton, that they have on Trump, they would be everywhere about it. And rightfully so, because that shit's crime. But they want to hold other people to a higher accountable than Trump. And it's like they're gonna get to a point where they're not gonna know who to believe because shit's gonna happen where they're told not to believe their eyes, but it's gonna be so fucked up that they have to.
Yeah.
It's gonna get there to where they're gonna have to suspend the make believe and Trump land to fucking live in reality because it's gonna smack them in the fucking face.
Yeah. It is. It's going to bug them. You know how Donald Trump knows he's cornered at this point. Is that he's lying, he's blatantly lying, and he's telling stupid lies. For example, he goes in there and he is thinking he's going to blow these people away in 3 days and be the hero and all that stuff, and then it doesn't happen. He comes out and says, "Yeah, we were really surprised that they bombed other countries and they closed the Strait of Hormuz." How did you? I knew that. I knew how they do things. They can't bomb America, so they're going to bomb military installations on foreign countries and bomb foreign countries. They're going to create problems for America if they can't hit them directly. Then Donald Trump starts telling people, well, we pretty much bombed everything. They've already lost. We've already won. And they're going to agree to a surrender or a ceasefire. Then a few days later, Iran comes out and goes, we don't want a ceasefire. And see, that's where Donald Trump's problem is. He went in there thinking he was going to control it. As a narcissist, he has to control things, but it's not under his control anymore. If he says we quit and we take off, that leaves Israel hanging by a fucking noose. And Iran's not going to stop until they're fucking ready. And they ain't ready. You know, they got attacked. I mean, Israel should understand this. They get attacked, a bunch of people get killed at that festival, right? So they want retribution from Hamas. So they go in there and they commit genocide and they kill tens of thousands of people in retribution for what happened at that event. So now we go in and bomb Iran. And then when we've had enough, just step back. I don't know how many thousands of people have died, but probably plenty. Uh, and then if we say, okay, we've had enough, they ain't going to stop any more than Israel did with Hamas. It's not going to happen. It's going to be ugly and it's going to be long term. And if we leave, then Israel's on their own and they're fucked. So I don't know. Donald Trump can talk about leaving, but I don't think that fixes anything.
Well, it's not just Israel that's fucked. It's also Dubai because they're saying that that city used to be the city of wealth. People are leaving that shit, and
Yeah.
I don't blame them. And it's just, you look at that city and it's awesome, and it's just like fucking what does it do? It fucking destroys it, you know. I mean, it's like, and I've told people that this whole war in America is just Trump's next bankruptcy
Yeah.
because Rick Wilson said it, everything he touches goes to shit, and that's what's happening now. But it's like, it, how can you come back from this? How can we? I mean, the cat's out of the bag. Trump's already exposed how much we can get away with, if not more.
Well, he's gone past this. You know, there's a certain limits you can do it and get by with it and jump back and fix it. You can put the stock market back in line if you just pull back the tariffs. But he's done what he's done in this situation. There is no coming out of it because even if he does walk away from it, that doesn't fix the oil prices.
Mhm.
That Strait of Hormuz is going to be shut down, and Donald Trump is freaking out about that. You know, he says we're going to do this on our own. We're the most powerful country. We've got already won. They're going to surrender, but we need some help. We need some help with keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. And all you people, all our alleged allies, count on the oil too. So you should. I demand that you come and help us with this. And every one of them said, you know what, we're good. We don't want to get involved in this bullshit. So we're not going to do it. And Donald Trump is upset about it. So then he says, well, it's going to be a bad future for NATO and all these countries if you don't help me. You know, this is a guy who's trying to coerce the entire world, trying to leverage the whole world to help him out of a problem because Donald Trump always has to get bailed out of everything he does because he fucks it up. But then Iran did the best thing ever. Iran said to China and all the other people, oh, you can run your ships through here. Yeah, it's no problem with that. Just not Israel and just not the United States. So then Donald Trump's got a bunch of people that aren't now being affected by it because they can move through the strait. But Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu are shut down. So it's still back to those two. And those two aren't doing well. I mean, I've heard that the bombing in Israel is pretty devastating, and it doesn't sound like we're hearing about it as much.
Well, the thing about what people don't understand, like I was talking to today, well, I don't know why our gas prices are so high. We don't get our oil from there. Yeah, but it's global. We're in a global economy. Well, this shouldn't be that
Right.
way. We shouldn't be over there. But what comes out of there is also fertilizer. You don't have fucking plants. you ain't got no fucking food, you
Right.
know. So I mean, and they know that. And the but it's like a video game to them. They think they can go in and and Trump believes this shit is because he has people just show him the good news.
Right.
I mean, he honestly believes he's got like what 95% approval rating or something like that. He fucking believes that shit. He
I think he
believes
does.
that he told the world that Osama bin Laden was going to attack New York City. He believes that shit. But I did see today on CNN there was a poll. All of a sudden, the hardcore MAGA, they're like 80% for it, for the war. Of course they're going to do that. But
Yeah.
you got that, it's that lower and board attitude. You just, you wonder how some of these people can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time.
Well,
Because it's
you can say MAGA is 80% for the war, but you can also say the country in its entirety is about 80%
against it.
against it.
Yeah.
So fuck what MAGA thinks. You'd expect MAGA to say something like that.
But
Um,
also the thing about, is about this filibuster. It's like MAGA can't math. They don't have the votes to do it, but what do? They still keep, I mean, that's the definition of failure, trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I
I
mean,
think
they're
they're smart enough to know that it's not going to work, but Donald Trump has said, "Do it anyway. Do it. We'll get it. We'll get it. Do it anyway." And they're just doing it to keep Donald Trump happy, knowing that they're going to lose.
and there's also a report, and the media is real good about this. I was reading about that, and they said something about, well, the majority of Americans support, voter ID. And I go, yeah, that's what we have now. I got to show my ID when I go anywhere. Yeah, I'm for that. But not like you women can't have their original birth certificate or you got to have a fucking passport because a lot of people don't fucking travel or go anywhere. So,
Right.
when you're doing that, it's overload. Like I said, when I got my driver's license, I had to show my birth certificate to get that. That should fucking be enough. It's my ID. That should be enough. And they had these little scanners. Everything's linked up. We don't have to fucking get paper ballots out right now. Everything's electronic. It's just I mean, it's like they're trying to, create this problem because they don't know they know they don't have the votes to win. So they got to rig gerrymandering. Now they got to do this. And they've
Yeah.
said that too, that we got to do this. No Democrat's going to win. I think they're mistaken because I think that people, and I think Texas is an outlier. Hopefully, what's going to come. I mean, it was a primary. A lot of people showed up, but I mean, I would think if people would show up for the primaries, they're definitely going to show up for the election.
I
And
would
that's
think so.
something that's got to scare Republicans. I mean, and you look at Mitch McConnell coming out here and saying that thing about Kent. That's easy for him to say as a sitting member of Congress who didn't
Yeah.
vote on going to war, but won't be and wasn't a part of this administration and won't be prosecuted like Kent knew that could happen for going in
Right.
there.
Right.
He's going to retire in January. He's going to go on to the glitch home or wherever he goes. But but you're in this administration. There's receipts that I know the Democrats, AOC, people like that. There's receipts that people probably like Marjorie Taylor Greene have out because MAGA is going to become such a pariah that they're going to have people out there say, "Well, I was never MAGA,"
Yeah.
and you're going to have people that maybe do what the Nazis did, go to Venezuela or Argentina to get away from this shit, And I don't know,
They may have to.
was it you or one of your was it Eric or something? I think it was on your thing last night. We'll send all the people they're setting up Cuba because they can like exile. Cuba ain't very far from America, so that's not a
No.
good plan.
No. No. It's not. Donald. Donald Trump even said something that was interesting is he's trying to coerce these people into coming in and helping him because he can't handle it because he fucked up. He was basically trying to make the suggestion that we got all the oil we need. We don't even need to be here. Well, no shit, motherfucker. Then why'd you put us there? I mean, he's so stupid that he'll say something like that to sell something else. He doesn't think beyond the end of his nose. Like he wants to get rid of the filibuster so he can win right now.
You don't care about
But
the
what
future.
he doesn't know, he's setting himself up to get crucified after the midterms. He doesn't think ahead like that. It's immediate gratification for him. And that's all he thinks about. That's why he keeps falling short. That's why he keeps failing.
Well, look at Cornyn. Cornyn is not what you call a young man. He's
No.
against the filibuster, getting rid of it for all this time. It benefited him. When it benefits him this time, yeah, fucking get rid of it. This is, what, senators, 7 years? This will probably be Cornyn's last run. Hopefully it ends in November and not fucking 7 years from now. Of course he's for it. He's just like that because the Republicans they're for the party right now. And, you have, and Mitch McConnell, to his credit, I think he's come out against the SAVE Act. And there's like two other Republicans, Murkowski and one of the other ones came out against it. So they've already got like two or three Republicans against it. So
Yeah.
yeah, they voted to vote. They voted to talk about it, but that's what the Senate does. They waste time talking about shit that ain't going to pass. That's typical Congress. There's people starving. There's lines at TSA, but let's worry about let's not fucking worry about the housing bill that came out.
Yeah.
Let's worry about my ass and saving the Save Act. Well, and a lot of people, when he came out and said that stuff about Dunn dying in June, a lot of people were going, maybe he's talking about himself. Maybe he got it mixed up what his doctors told him. And I just think that the desperation is not only Iran, but it's also, I think, I mean, he may not know it, but I know a lot of people around him know that he may not have much time because, I watched a documentary on McDonald's the other day. My God, that has to be the worst food. I mean, I've
Yeah.
never McDonald's. I've always been a Burger King guy, but it's like that can't be healthy. And it's like, my doctors told me, well, you're 50 now, you can't eat like that anymore. And I'm like, fuck, well, I'm 50. I'm still 30 years younger than fucking Trump. So it's
There,
like,
there,
ugh,
there, there was a documentary out. Maybe this is a documentary you saw. It's an old documentary. And actually, the guy who did the documentary now died of cancer or something. I don't know what happened to him, but um, he did a test where he ate nothing but McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for like 3 months.
fast food day or
And
something like that.
he was sick. He was lethargic. He was just not in good shape. And he put on weight and he had to kind of
For the
withdraw
same.
from it and try to get back in shape after the fact. And Donald Trump eats his shit all the time. And he's not healthy in the fucking first place. I'm a little disappointed in McDonald's for not acting a little faster, for fuck's sake. I got to tell you, if you and I ate a Big Mac every day for the next 3 months, we'd probably be dead.
Sorry. Fuck the Big Mac. The Whopper's the best. Flame broiled, that's the shit I like. Yeah, you're right. You eat that shit, like, it's like I eat like fast food maybe once a week. I can't eat it because I've gotten to a point to where I can't eat that shit. And it's like, do I want to? Yeah, but I'm not a 20-year-old kid anymore that, fucking, eats a whole pizza by himself. But, the Republicans talk about Trump being a man of God. Gluttony is one of the worst sins, and sloth, sleeping in office. But yeah, I don't know, man. When he had up there and he was talking to Mike Johnson about that, talking about, well, y'all, I mean, it's very easy to be the fucking House Speaker. I'm like, you want to fucking bet? I guarantee goddamn to you that's not an easy job. And
No.
and Mike McCarthy and not Mike McCarthy, Mike Johnson was like, well, I don't know if that was, he looked like he looked like a kid that just got caught cheating on his test. Like, oh shit, you saw that, and it's like they're getting to the point to where they can't cover for him anymore. I mean, he said he called the former president. I guess the one he called was 45 because the other one said they didn't call him. 47 talked to 45. That was
Well,
probably what
that,
happened. He talked to
yeah, what you're
himself.
talking Donald Trump again trying to substantiate why he went into Iran. He said, "Well, I talked to a former president who agreed with me and wished he'd done it too." And somebody said, "Was it George W. Bush?" He goes, "No." Then he said, "Was it Bill Clinton?" He goes, "I'm not going to say."
Bubba.
Then Bill Clinton comes out and says, "Wasn't me, bitch. I never talked to him about that, and I wouldn't before attacking Iran." So that
And
leaves only two living presidents, Biden and Obama, and you know he didn't talk to either one of them. Just a blatant lie trying to substantiate what he's doing by coming up with bullshit and thinking that people are stupid enough not to check on it. But they did, and it didn't take much to check on it. But this is what I mean about the flailing. Donald Trump will say anything to try to get out of a problem. And now he's getting really reckless. He's really lazy about it. So every time he does something, like, he goes to everybody, all the allies, alleged allies, and says, "You got to help us. You got to help us." And then when they say they won't, then he says, "We don't need your help. We'll just do it ourselves." Well, good luck, motherfucker. How are you going to do that? You going to escort boats through the Strait of Hormuz? Put a fucking target on your military boats and let them bomb the piss out of it? They still have those hypersonic missiles with 1 ton fucking warheads. Won't take long to take out a fucking boat with one of those.
You know what happened though? There's that report that came out that his phone number was on the black market, I guess.
I heard that.
Trump is for sale. I mean, don't get me wrong, and he'll give pardons for sale and everything like that. How many times have you heard a George W. Bush, a Barack Obama, or a Bill Clinton impersonator? Hey, Trump, this is your buddy Bill, Bubba. Just want to say you did something that none of us ever did. I mean, and his
Yeah.
condition right now, he'd believe it. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
it's like I watch these documentaries on Elvis. And I think we talked about this on Taking a Break. And it was like they were saying, yeah, man, I got a phone call from Elvis, and it was a guy on voicemail. And this guy was presenting this like it was actual proof.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn, you know how many fucking Elvis impersonators there are in fucking the world?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds just like that could be an Elvis impersonator. Yeah, it kind of sounds like him, but Bill Clinton, he had those people that sounded like him. Obama. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like he's in that state of mind right now that if he hears it, he believes it. And that's something that, that guy that we follow, I'm going to get his name right one time and bring him on here. He's on TikTok, and he's that physical therapist, and he says that when you are forgetful of stuff, you make stuff up. And there
Yeah.
was a big to do the other day about Kellyanne Conway, him thanking her, and they were saying, well, she was in his defense, she was there, but no, he was still talking about her like she was the press secretary with her alternative facts. She was his press secretary, right? Is that what she did, or she did some lying for him, something like that?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's but this is no different than before, but the lying is getting really out of hand right now to where you can't hide it. And it's like there was being St. Patrick's Day on Tuesday, and I sent you that joke. There's that big old picture of him in green. Goes, I'm
Yeah.
doubling gas prices.
Yeah.
I've also
Yeah.
seen the one because we saw those Joe Biden ones everywhere. And there's one now that he's pointing up there. Iran of gas prices. So it's like, but they don't like it that much when you say that about them. And it's just, the people that were bitching about the cost of eggs, all this shit like that, they're fine attacking a country that, had no designs on us.
Yeah.
And the thing that really scares me about the future, it's probably not going to be us that has to put up with the consequences for this.
Well, that's
It's
it.
it's going to be future generations, because I told you that report that came out about how they targeted that school, and that school was a private school for the military's kids in Iran, and they did that to fuck with the army and stuff like that, and the Iran army. And that, that's is supposedly that's what they say Israel does a lot. It targets schools. And not something I'm making up. It's just, a history of doing it. And it's like, what you did is you had a bunch of people that were against this coalition, that was against this government. And there was enough anger with that. But what you did is going in there, you've killed innocent people. So that has been put aside, and now they're almost one and they're almost unified.
Yeah.
And it's like you created a problem. You took the jaws of victory, and you took the was it what's the old saying? You snatched victory out of the jaws of defeat, or jaws,
Yeah.
one of those
You
two.
snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory, which is the counterpoint to what it really it was on ABC Wide World of Sports back in the day, taking
Or that
victory out of the jaws of
agony of
defeat.
defeat is more like it with that poor skier.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it looks like.
You, well,
Another
the thing with the kids' school, what you're saying now is people are suggesting that that school was specifically targeted. Doesn't surprise me with Israel. Doesn't surprise me with Donald Trump. He's all about being the bully and getting leverage over people. So I'm going to kill their kids. So the military people are all fucked up, and then we'll win this war, and I'll be the conquering hero. And it never works out for Donald Trump. Donald Trump has these brilliant ideas that never, ever fucking work. And now he's finding himself in a situation where he doesn't know how to get out of it. And this is the essence of the end game for the narcissist. When they get too much, they're over their head. They have too many things to manage. They're all about having control and managing things. And now he can't manage it. He's not only got the war, he's got gas prices, he's got the economy, telling us the Dow was over 50,000. Well, now it's about 47 because of what he's doing. Then we've got the deportations. Have you noticed they haven't been talking about deportations very much?
trying to reverse it.
Well, they're trying to reverse it because they finally realized that, hey, that's not popular. Maybe we should just keep it on the DL. Just keep it on the DL. But they're still doing it. It's not like they've given up doing it, but they're now just finally realizing that some of the things they're doing aren't popular, and maybe we should change the messaging. Why did it take you this long? We knew this shit a year ago.
And another thing about Iran and stuff is you would watch documentaries on stuff and you would see the Iranian people, they didn't hate America. Majority of them didn't hate America. The government does. And I mean it's like the Russians. It's like, back in the 80s, you know what I mean? When they had that, that peace festival I told you about in Russia, we thought these were all real bad guys, but they loved rock and roll.
Yeah,
You have these teenagers in Iran that they want to they want to listen to music, they want to go to concerts, they want to do stuff. The government doesn't let them, a lot of them, but we're not helping things by going in there and killing like their family.
right,
So you're breeding almost this new generation of people that they just know that they were attacked by America and Israel. So it
right.
like Trump's almost, in this administration's almost doing the Israelis work to keep the war going. And it's and somebody asked me, well, how can they sleep at night knowing that they bombed a school and stuff like that? And I'm not saying this about every Republican, but there's a lot of them that have told me point blank that Muslims aren't people. Hell, look what
Oh
Trump,
yeah.
his first term, he signed that executive order to ban that from happening. They do not look at the Muslims as human beings.
No,
And
and strictly because of their religion. The thing with Donald Trump, though, I have to tell you, how can he sleep at night? Because he's a narcissistic sociopath. He has no empathy for anybody. The most important person is him. Anybody else that gets in his way, he'll throw them under the bus. We've seen it now with his own people. Somebody speaks out against him. Tucker Carlson was his best buddy. Now he's trying to fucking undermine him and maybe put him in jail. So Donald Trump doesn't really care about anybody. He's kissing up to the allies. You got to help us. You got to help us. And they say, we're not going to help you. He goes, okay, fuck it. I'll just do it myself. Well, no, you won't. That's typical narcissistic behavior. I've experienced it a lot with my father and some other people. And when they don't get what they want, they just say, fuck it, I'll do it myself, but you're not going to like how I do it. Yeah, okay, go ahead, Donnie. Get yourself out of this one because you're not going to be able to do it. You don't have the wits or the ability. You're incompetent, and you're in too deep right now because America and Israel isn't in control of this war anymore. It's Iran.
Yeah.
they're gonna say when it ends. Now, the thing I get pushback about, oh well, you just support Iran. No, I don't support Iran. I don't give a fuck about Iran. I'm worried about the problems we have in this country. So why get in a war with another country that we don't care about? Well, they had nuclear weapons. No, they didn't. Donald Trump's appointee for counterterrorism told us that there was no imminent danger. It's just all made up shit. It's it's WMDs all over again, but done much poorer,
Yeah.
a much poorer attempt at it.
Well, the thing about it is you have these people that are outraged about what's happening in Israel when people are bombed, and rightfully so. But when it happens on the other side, they're fine with that. A lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not a Christian. I'm not, but I'm a humanist and I recognize life is life. And and nobody's born a racist. Nobody's born religious. We're all born atheists if you think about it, and we're
Yeah.
molded into something to believe. So if people ask me what is the one thing you would get rid of if you had your choice, it would be religion because it's just
Yeah.
just an excuse to discriminate against somebody else, not everybody, but most of it. And what's going on here, all these wars have been fought years and years, and what's it over? It's over religion.
Let me quantify something you're saying there, though. You say religion. And when I think religion, I think organized religion. I think
Yes.
about the organizations, I think about the clubs, the groups of people, whether it be Catholic, Lutheran, Muslim, Methodist, whatever. These are organizations and clubs created by human beings, and they use the Bible to sell whatever they're selling.
They can choose.
Without those organized religions, and if we were just talking about people who believe in God or people who don't believe in God, that part of it isn't causing the problems. It's it's the human beings that are using it to benefit their agenda in some way. And I know people are going to say not all churches are like that. I'm sure that's the case. But I can tell you this, if we're talking about evangelicals or Christian nationalists, they're all bad because they all follow the same thing. And if it's whether it's racism or whether it's trying to undermine democracy with religion, that's contrary to the Bible, that's contrary to the Constitution, and they're bad. And they stand there with this Bible as if it's a shield, and they're just hypocrites. That's why one thing I like about Tellerico, he espouses his religion and his beliefs, but he kind of follows what the Bible actually says. And whether we had religion or not, you don't have to be religious. If you have empathy for other people, want to care for other people and help other people, it doesn't matter if you're any religion at all. You don't have to be religious just to be a fucking decent person.
Yeah. Also, you kind of think of where I'm coming from because I was raised evangelical, so I'm kind of
Right.
small. But that's what's the old saying? I'm cool with Jesus. It's his fan club I can't stand. A lot of them.
Right.
So yeah, and like I said, I'm to the point where religion and stuff. I think that the Bible has its good points, but the Bible is very violent too. And a
Yeah.
lot of people that believe the Bible point to the Quran and say that too. Well, they're both violent books. It's like anything. It was, I mean, I'm sorry, God didn't come down and had a burning bush and told you to write the Bible. It was written by man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A lot of our founding fathers, like Thomas Edison, Thomas Jefferson, he believed in the Bible, but he had the Jefferson Bible, which he took all the supernatural stuff out of it. So it was like, I guess a lot of the Jesus stuff is gone because they were a lot of the founding fathers, they weren't Christians as much as I like to believe they were
Right.
not theists, deists that they believe that God created us and kind of left us alone, which I can kind of see. But, a lot
Well,
of
you
the,
kind of did it. If you go by the Bible, you kind of did by giving us free will.
yeah,
Okay, here you are. You got free will. Let's see what you do with it. So in that sense, he did. If you believe in the Bible.
but he's going to cast you into hell because you chose to use your free will.
Yeah.
Well, I think The real reason we're in this right now is because of the Bible. And there are people interpretation, not really of the Bible, but the interpretation of Revelation, because there is really a movement that's probably running this military. And they were saying that they didn't know if it was true or not, but there were like over 200 complaints, I guess, of people saying that they were told about this, bringing back the rapture. And I remember that too, because there was a thing in 1948. There was a thing in 1948 when Israel became a nation. And there was I guess, a prophecy of saying that, generation will pass when, the Lord will return. So around 1988, 40 years, all these evangelicals where I was growing up, and lucky me, were thinking Jesus was coming back.
Right.
It only took me like 6 times to realize he wasn't coming back off these false alarms. I'm pretty sharp. So, but it was that always telling us it's coming like that. And it's like, I would think that people would get tired enough, and you would think, and I think a lot of them have seen the Trump thing to, like, you're lying or whatever to do this, but there's always going to be that hardcore crazy 20 to 30% that's doing it. But what gives me hope is the younger people, because all these polls are coming out now saying that, these people are just done with Trump. And rightfully so. They can't get a house. They can't get because they were stupid enough to vote for a guy who had concepts of a plan, not a woman who gave her plan.
I would suggest that organized religion is in the same kind of position that Republicans are in, the Republican Party, in that they're coming to the end of their usefulness for the general population of this country. I'm not saying don't believe in God and stuff, but these organized religions, especially with how they've been involved in what's going on with Donald Trump, millennials, Gen Zs, they're going to be the majority of the people voting in 2028. They don't really cotton to the hardcore religious stuff, especially after we're going through what we're going through. And same with the religious thing. Same with mainstream media. Everybody's buying these mainstream media outlets for $1 billion. I wouldn't buy one for $100 because in 10 years, nobody's going to be watching mainstream media. They're going to be on the internet watching short things on TikTok or whatever other app that's available. Millennials and Gen Zs don't watch network news. They don't join organized religion and they don't buy anything that the Republicans are saying.
Well, that's the thing that should scare Republicans, especially the wanting to bring the white South Africans to America to keep the white race going, is because what you're
Now they
having.
want to go home.
Yeah, I want to go too. Um, there was a thing that used to read about, and people like Rush Limbaugh were very anti-multiculturalism. They
Yeah.
believed keeping the races separate, and they didn't like that. The fact that when somebody different, when they, with the, somebody from, a Black American would celebrate, their African roots. Well, it's okay for the white people to celebrate the Irish roots or,
Yeah.
Polish roots or something like that, but it wasn't okay. And that's something I never agreed with because it's like,
No.
you should be okay with that. But what should scare the Republicans is that, people are losing faith and so-called, Christian event. And I think that's why they've kind of gone so extreme, is because they've got to hold on to what they got because they see the change coming. And when I say change, you're going to have somebody that maybe dates somebody that's a Buddhist.
Right.
They could be as white as we are, and they could be a
Yeah.
Buddhist because, and that should scare them because, and I think that's why Tallarico is so much because the Republicans have had this stranglehold on who Jesus is for so long. Well, now you have somebody like James Tallarico come out there, and he is saying something that I could be voting Republican all these years and been a Christ follower, but I didn't agree with like their interpretation of Jesus,
Right.
or Trump's 2 Corinthians, not 2nd Corinthians, but 2 Corinthians. Fucker couldn't even hold the Bible inside. But
No.
but Tallarico, he appeals to that thing because, Trump was on there and he was cutting him down. Oh, he's worse than woke. I don't even fucking know what woke is. I mean, I nobody has ever been able to explain to me what the fuck woke is. Said about somebody else? Yeah. Do I agree with what Tellerico does about the Jesus thing? Probably not. But I know that he is in there not to put the Ten Commandments in a fucking classroom, but he's there to help the people that are less fortunate, to represent me. Cornyn and Cruz, they don't represent me. They
No, they
represent
represent
Israel. They
themselves.
represent
They're
Israel and
rich.
Trump more than they do me. So why wouldn't I vote for that? And there's a big outrage about those people taking APAC money. I can see why. I mean, I can see fucking why people are upset about that because it's like you're giving money to a country that's got better benefits than we do.
Well, and somebody suggested that, if you look at the vast majority of members of Congress, Democrats and Republicans, they take APAC money. Free money. Of course, they'll take that free money.
Yeah.
But when you look at, and they try to say APAC's not hooked to the government, that's bullshit. It is. When you have one country having that much influence over our Congress, some people even said, we're a country occupied by Israel. And that's not that far off, given what we know that's involved with all the money. And then you get these people saying, I stand with Israel until I die, or the Bible says we've got to stand with Israel. Here's the problem: this particular Israel began in 1948. It wasn't in the biblical times. I don't know what Israel really was considered. Was it a nation? Was it a people? Was it a property, a land? I don't know. But there's no way you can tell me that somebody that was a Christian, say Jesus himself, there's no way you can tell me Jesus stood with Benjamin Netanyahu on fucking anything, on anything. You think Jesus would be amenable to fucking genocide? Because they can say they didn't do it, but it was genocide. There's no question. You don't kill 70, 80,000 people without it being genocide. Innocent people.
And that's what Tallarico's hitting. He's talking about stuff like that, and they can't stand that because they think they own Jesus. It's like the Republicans in the fucking American flag. I mean, sadly, I see an American flag, I think it's MAGA all of a sudden, and it shouldn't be that way. When you see Jesus, you think about MAGA Jesus, you know what I mean? Oh, okay, to put kids in cages and do all that shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, and Tallarico said that too about, well, how do you think Jesus would, Jesus got mad about them, was it when they were selling something in the tabernacle or he threw tables and shit. If
But yeah,
Jesus,
he went into the bazaar, I think it was,
yeah,
and there were he called money changers, which would be like bankers and people selling things, and he was upset by
sounds
it. He
like
started turning
Republicans.
over tables, and yeah, exactly. It sounds like Republicans, but um, I think religion's going to take a pretty heavy hit here as we get the switch over in the generations. Um, Millennials and Gen Zs just aren't buying into all the things that boomers and Gen Xers bought into. And I think the Republicans and the religions know this, and they're just kind of fighting in desperation, like you said, to hold on to what they've got until they die off.
There was a group of people called the Pharisees that existed in Jesus's time.
Right.
They're like your modern day Republicans, the ones that, would cast all these stones. It's like, when they brought I don't know if the Pharisees did it, but they brought the woman in front of him that committed adultery. They were going to stone her. And Jesus goes, "You without sin, cast the first stone." Not fucking bringing the guy who was involved, because last time I checked, it takes two people to fuck. Well, some
Yeah.
of it's single, just one maybe. Got to hand it to that guy. But they didn't do the man. They didn't do the man, and that's kind of where we're at now. That what the Republicans do is they go after the weakest. They went after Venezuela. They're talking about Cuba now because those were the weakest, and they thought Iran was going to be weak. And I'm sorry, but this thing is not going to end anytime soon.
It's
It's
not.
it's not going to end anytime soon because I mean, I did read an interview with James Carville, and I can kind of see this happening too. After the midterms and the Democrats take both houses, Trump could just walk away. What would stop him from doing that? I mean,
I said that, and people disagreed with me. I said, after it's over, if we win the House and the Senate, and Donald Trump can do nothing anymore, he'll be shut down. I say, at that point, he might say, I'm sick and resign. And people say he'd never resign. And I said, that's true, but you got to really understand how a narcissist is. They will flail and they will fight and they will do anything and they will never admit they're wrong or anything like that. But when they get to a point where there's no way out,
yeah,
they fucking run. They always run. Every narcissist I've ever met, when they got to that point, when they could not flail and divert anymore, they ran away. And it would not surprise me, assuming he's still alive, that he says, well, we got the elections and they're a hoax and they're rigged and the Democrats are going to impeach me. He doesn't want to get impeached for a third time. He could just say, well, fuck it, I'm done. Let America burn. I'm not going to be a party to this. I tried to do some good things and you guys blew it, so fuck yourselves. I could see him doing that.
yeah, I may not have agreed with you before about him walking away, but with this Iran stuff, I can see it now because he's done so much to where it's going to be hard for anybody to get out of this. I mean, it's gonna
Yeah.
it's like one of their conditions they wanted BB surrendered. Well, BB runs this country, and there ain't no telling what he's got on Trump or Lindsey Graham
Yeah.
because Ladybug just got a little hard on for war.
He
I,
does.
and I think all these people and Lindsey Graham doesn't have any kids, but I mean these people that were so pro-war, why don't they go to the front lines? Why is it always the kids? And there's a lot of people in the army and the services that don't have all the money in the world. So it's like it's always the less fortunate that have to go. It's like that song by Credence, "Fortunate Son."
Right.
I didn't get no deferments because of my bone spurs. I got to play cosplay, general like I did or whatever. But you had people like John McCain. You had people that actually served, and you look and you've gone from like John McCain and somebody that's honorable who fucking the Hanoi Hilton. I don't know how long I would have survived there. Then we get this cosplaying, and I think Will said it best. He said that Hegsworth is acting like he's on Fox News.
Yeah.
That's who runs these press conferences, and it's just it's a joke. And you see these Saturday Night Live bits, and there was a thing one time when Will Ferrell was playing Bush, and this is during the Bush Gore thing, and like if Will Ferrell was there, like if he would have won, and it goes 6 months in the future, and there's like all this chaos is going on. And it's like, yeah, we didn't know how good we had it with Bush. Yeah, we had a lot of bad people running the country, but now we got complete morons. That it's like I'm not saying Bush was great and Cheney was great or nothing, but you actually almost had, they knew, I mean, yeah, see, they went after Iraq, and that was about oil. And so many Trumper was they all this stuff about, oh, Bush did this. A lot of Trumpers hated that. Those same people now are defending Trump for going into Iran. And Iran's going to
Yeah.
be a bigger quagmire than Iraq was, in my opinion.
Well, going after Iraq as opposed to Iran is dramatically different. Iraq's a smaller, weaker country. Iran's got 93 million people. They got a formidable um, military, and Donald Trump said they've all been decimated, but somehow he still needs help to keep open a 21-mile strait, you know? Um,
Did you see Peter Doocy, or I guess his son, asking why he hasn't been able to open it up yet?
yeah,
Yeah, and it's like when you're losing the Fox crowd, it's not good. His dad has always kind of been on the spectrum like that, but when Junior gets involved, I mean, there's only so much lying they can do that it gets to the point where they're not going to be able to hide it, and he keeps saying shit that it's just getting worse all the time. I mean, it just fucking sucks that we're watching this happen in real time. The only bad part of one of the bad parts is that we're in the fucking same car with him. That's the only thing. It's like
Oh,
You're in that
sure. That's
defensive
it.
driving, and you got that guy that doesn't know what he's doing. That's kind of what I feel I'm at now. Is like, oh, you don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah, it's like saying, "Oh, good, Donald Trump's going to die in a car crash," but I'm riding shotgun,
Yeah.
so it's not good for anybody involved. And when you're looking at some politicians that are a little brighter than most, when you're looking at the media, they've got to look at how things are trending, and they've got to hedge their bets a little bit. They've got to see what Donald Trump is doing, what he looks like, what he sounds like, how he's failing. They got to know that the end is coming, and they can either be buried in the wreckage or step back from it and try to save themselves. And I think as we get closer and closer, it's going to happen more and more. We're seeing more and more people bailing from the House of Representatives and the Senate, Republicans not running for reelection. Now, this guy, Joe Kent, who's in the administration, high up, he was appointed by Donald Trump, and he says, no, there was no threat, and he walks away. They'll try to play it off like it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal because it's essentially the first domino. Now, when Donald Trump heard that this guy resigned, I was surprised, but not surprised by how he reacted. First thing you do when something bad happens like this, you've got to convince people it's not a big deal. And Donald Trump did the exact childish thing I would expect him to do. And he says, "Oh, yeah, I knew Joe. He was a good guy, but he was a little weak. So I guess I'm glad he's leaving now." It's kind of like tripping on the sidewalk and going, "I meant to do that," and start running. It's the same thing with Donald Trump. He's trying to turn it into a positive for him, and he just can't because over and above everything else, this guy said exactly the opposite of what Donald Trump is telling us. And now he has to deal with that.
They're saying that Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, she won, so she looks like she's gonna be taking over for Dick Durbin.
That'll be good.
Yeah, so she's I think she beat two, I guess, non-progressive Democrats. So that's good. So good for Illinois. I mean, it's probably not quite as cold as Minnesota. Maybe I can move up there if I have to. It's still blue.
Here's the thing: when I walked outside today, it was 8 degrees, cold as a motherfucker, but at least the snow had stopped. But guess what? On Friday, it's going to be 63.
You know, it was 95 here on Saturday, and then
Wow.
yesterday morning, Monday morning, it was freaking 35. So it's like now it's 55. So it's like, and it's going to be in the 90s this weekend. So I don't know. They keep saying winter's over. I guess that groundhog was right about something. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
We're getting toward the end here, and I want to talk about something that's coming up that was made known today or yesterday, depending on when you're listening to this. Um, Pam Bondi, they voted in the oversight committee to subpoena her, but they hadn't subpoenaed her as yet. Today, James Comer did that. They subpoenaed Pam Bondi, and she's not liking this too much. She's got to go sit with the oversight committee and discuss the Jeffrey Epstein files specifically, why she's not releasing them, why she's hiding them. Now, some people are upset that she's not doing it in public, but some of the Democrats have said it may be better that she's doing it behind closed doors because she won't be able to grandstand or do this performance art like she did in front of the TV cameras. She's under oath. She's got politicians, Republicans giving her softballs, no doubt, but the Democrats are going to ask some hard questions. I'm not suggesting she's going to answer them, but she's going to be going through some shit as she sits in that meeting. And that's coming up April 14th. So we're a little less than a month away from that. And she's going to wiggle around and try to get out of this, but I don't think she can at this point.
well, I want Lauren Berbert to ask her about Pizzagate, like she did Hillary.
Yeah,
Well, she's pissed. I was reading it today, I think in Raw Story, and she was saying that she's pissed. Is like, well, they were fighting back. She doesn't understand why because the Democrats or the Repub the House, they have all access to all the files we haven't seen yet.
right.
They could be feeling some of the pressure. I mean, I mean, this and the way Trump's mind operates, what little is left is that, he may think this is a distraction. He may be using the Epstein thing now as a distraction from the Iran war because it's worse than the Epstein files.
Well,
It
he's done that. He did that
yeah.
with the shootings in Minneapolis. You know, you had two people shot in Minneapolis. He needed to distract from it, and then all of a sudden, the Epstein files flared up again. And the good part about, if nothing else happens with Pam Bondi being testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee, it brings back the Epstein files, or I should say Trump Epstein files, back to the forefront. And there's still more and more things coming out. There's more victims that are speaking up, and there's a lot of things that are pointing to the documents that were pulled out that specifically implicate Donald Trump. Um, it's slow going, but things are headed the right direction with the Epstein files, and it's not getting better for Donald Trump at this point.
Well, the thing about it is too is that there's been a precedent set since they have this, talking behind closed doors, that there's
Yeah,
obviously videos released, the transcripts and the videos released, because they've done that with Jack Smith, Bill and Hillary. They've done that, so it's like they've set something up to where if they try to hide hers, they can't do it. And I think Comer is so is it Comer his name?
yeah, James Comer.
He is he had such a hard on for Joe Biden and his what $10,000 that him and Hunter made. And it's like I'm hoping we get this same kind of thing on the other side when we take over. I hope they boggle down the American people with so much shit that the American people are forced to realize the shit that we were in. Because even if Trump's gone, they can't let this shit go. They
No,
got to expose people, anybody, Democrat, Republican, Independent, anybody that was involved with this fucking crime, and it was a crime. When you hurt innocent kids and women or whatever, you need to pay. And and if it comes out to where there's Democrats, hey, break the law, do it. I voted for Bill Clinton. I don't worship Bill Clinton, but I
no.
mean, it's it's something that that I think that I think if the Democrats don't take the bull by the horns and make these changes to get the country back to normal, I think we will be back with a Republican in charge because he will more because Democrats will stay home because we've obviously seen them do that in the past. So when you're
Yeah,
getting with power comes great responsibility. And yeah, you can talk about the what ifs with Joe Biden and this stuff. I mean, there was an active investigation going on, and Merrick Garland, but we Democrats cannot make another Merrick Garland. They cannot do that again. Or, they'll be back to where we at. We'll have a Pam Bondi up there instead of I mean, I'd like to see a Jasmine Crockett get up there, and be hell, put Hillary up there. I'd like to see that. That'd be great.
Hillary's getting a little old, but
I bet
when we
that she can still hang though, man. She can still hang.
she she can. What I think is that when we get a Democratic president, we need to utilize some of the wasted talent that's in the Democratic Party.
I
First
agree.
and foremost, Stacey Abrams of Georgia. She may be one of the best politicians in the country, and she isn't in an elected position currently. Jasmine Crockett might be a possibility. Katie Porter out in California, that might be a possibility. There's a lot of wasted talent out there. Pete Buttigieg, he's
Yeah.
not doing anything right now. So they've got to make sure that they build a proper administration and a cabinet so that we have aggressive people that want to go after these things and the natural thing for a government to say is, well, we're through that now. Let's just let the country heal. And I'll tell you right now, this country is not going to heal unless there's some accountability. There's got to be accountability. People have been made to feel like rich people, politicians, people with power get away with anything. That narrative has to fucking change if you want people to trust you.
Yeah, but we got to get the Grassleys out of there. We got to get the
Yeah.
Clyburn, I guess he's running for re-election again.
Yeah,
He
he should
him to re-
stop.
he's his 80s. Bernie, thanks for everything you've done, but they got to get some new blood in there because I mean it's like you got the AOCs, you got the Jasmine Crockett's. You know, I think that I think it's gonna be real interesting to see what happens with Jeffries because he hasn't been up to the task lately.
No, he
And,
hasn't.
and Schumer has been in a lot of ways, but Schumer needs to go too because I mean when you're that old, I mean it's like you don't look at I mean people 20 years younger than us don't look at things the way me and you do.
No.
We know that, rock and roll is the greatest music of all time. Well, somebody 20 years younger than us thinks hip hop is. And
Yeah.
that's they're gonna have to be freaking, with the future. You know, everybody but, Chuck Grassley is gonna die someday because he's obviously the crypt keeper and he's actually eternal.
Right.
That's why we need to
Right.
get Eric up there and run against that guy because we can get the second somebody up there younger. But all joking aside, I mean, you gotta, I mean, Democrats, I mean, take look at the Republicans on the other side that are retiring. But I mean, how bad is it to know you're dying and still stay there because it was important to a president? If that's not the definition of a cult, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, no shit. No shit. There's some sick motherfuckers up there. I'm going to wrap up the Rational Boomer podcast. We're about that time. Jace, thanks for joining us. It's always good to hear from you. People enjoy hearing from you, hearing what's going on in Texas, and we can talk about all this other shit. Tell folks where they can find you
Well,
because you're out there on TikTok.
I'm on TikTok, and occasionally me and this gentleman here we do a podcast called "Taking a Break," which I think we're due for one, Mike, because it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah,
But
we're due for one. We
Gen
should
X
do
Jace
that
on
soon.
TikTok. That's pretty much it. I don't really get political on there, but I do block Trump hooks. So, I see these people that I'm friends with. I'm like, how the hell did I follow this guy? And so I do that. But of course, I keep track on it and stuff like that. But yeah, I think Mike and me will be doing a new taking a break soon. And if you ever got
Definitely.
any ideas, email Mike, and text Mike or whatever, or find me on TikTok messages. Or Mike, what's your number?
Ab- Absolutely. Yeah, what is my number? One 952-599-1322, I believe.
Anybody
I
been
think
calling you?
that's it. Huh?
Anybody been calling you still on that
I
thing?
get it. I get it every so often. I haven't promoted it much. I've got a bunch of text messages that I got to do a show on, so I'm gonna be doing that shortly. Um, but yeah, I mean, anytime anybody has any input of what they want to hear or talk about, you got two options. You can send us a note and say, "Hey, you should do this," or you can tell me you want to come on the show. I mean, it's always been something that's open to uh, for anybody to come on. And now I have the right number here. I just happen to have it scribbled down in this professional level note taking. It's 952-522-1399. I had it mixed up. And I'm not even dyslexic, just old and forget shit. 952-522-1399. You have questions, comments, you want to be on the show, you want to tell me to fuck off, get in line, motherfucker. I got a few people that do that too.
See, that's what I think too. And instead of like, writing something, say you disagree with somebody, come on and give your point of view. It's real easy with this man. I mean, he sits there, he lets you do it. I mean, he's had Trumplefucks on there, and
It's
hell,
not so easy for them though.
it's not so easy for them because they don't stand for anything. They
Yeah.
don't stand for. They have concepts of a plan, but they don't have a plan.
Yeah. Yeah. They come in here all head up and thinking they're going to kick some ass. And
And they realize it's
um,
not a Pete Hegseth Fox and Friends interview.
no, no. I've tried to get Republicans on here and they don't do it. And I will give them credit. That's probably a wise choice because you're not going to do well. It's not because I'm brilliant. It's because I'm smarter than you without question. Because if you voted for Donald Trump, I have to be smarter than you. Uh, and I'm right. And you're wrong. So you can't win. You just can't fucking win. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Those of you, thanks, Jace. For those of you listening, thanks for taking the time. I hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.